The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's the 25th of March, 2025. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined once again by the ever-popular Matt Shodell. Not quite sure what he's drinking at this time of the day, as we discuss the news of the day. And Matt, I think we should just start by talking about the news really of yesterday, and that was the performance of Cam Ward at Pro Day. And listen, we know how good Cam Ward is. We watched them the whole season. It's really absolutely amazing to me that Miami was not able to exploit his magnificence to a greater degree, make it to the ACC title game, make it into the playoff. Going to go down as one of the more frustrating seasons, certainly in the recent history of Miami football, because this guy is a unique cat. And never was that more evident than at Pro Day yesterday as we watched him audition for the NFL scouts. It was absolutely unbelievable. And while we're talking, I'm going to throw some of the highlights here up on our screen. But, he came out, he must have thrown about 100 passes in the workout for the pro scouts. And his arm clearly started getting tired in the second half. He missed on a couple throws that he didn't miss early. But I would say of the first 60 passes that he threw at Pro Day, I would say about 59 of the 60 were perfect. And you could just tell. I was watching the contingent from the Tennessee Titans quite a bit during the workout, and you could tell that they were impressed. And Cam playfully talked to them after the workout, and he knows that he did everything that he could do after that session yesterday to solidify the belief that the Titans would have in him if they are going to make him the number one pick. So now that all remains to be seen is all the other teams in the NFL were out there watching yesterday as well. And were any of them so impressed with Cam Ward that they are willing to make an offer to Tennessee that Tennessee can't refuse and end up with Cam Ward themselves? So going to be very interesting, Matt, but you obviously were there for the workout, and I'm sure you were as impressed as I was.
Yeah, he was all right. Look, I got so used to watching Judd Anderson and Emory Williams and Luke Nickel throw passes that I don't even know how to judge. Like, what scale do you judge him based on? I forgot how great quarterbacks look because honestly, after watching this, it makes me even more concerned for the current Miami quarterback for watching this spring. Like, it's not even like remotely close. I mean, it's in the pace he throws with the ball, the touch he throws with the ball, the accuracy. Like, they're not even close. Like, they need to step up their game. Cam Ward reminded me of, I don't know how I forgot, but he reminded me of how good he is and how it's supposed to look like when you're great. And the interesting thing to me, and I actually asked Cam Ward this question after, everyone's focused on the NFL. I don't care about the NFL draft. I cover the Miami Hurricanes. Like, it's great, whatever. People care about Pro Day, the former Hurricanes. Yeah, whatever. I want the current team. Like, I'd rather the current team does great. That's what I'm after. So I asked Cam what words of advice he would give to Carson Beck based on his experience at Miami. And I was hoping that Cam would say something like, oh, yeah, I've been talking to Carson. I've been giving him lots of advice. I didn't want to intrude and say, hey, are you talking to Carson Beck? And, but it didn't seem from his answer that he's even talked to Carson Beck once. And his words of advice were to Carson Beck was just to be yourself and don't measure yourself against me because I'm the greatest, which is a typical Cam Ward answer.
Yeah. Well,
but how obviously normal and nice would it be for Cam Ward and Carson Beck to have been talking for the last month on a regular basis? Like, who knows Shannon Dawson's system better than Cam Ward? Who better to tell Carson Beck what to expect when the guy's sitting at spring practice doing, on his back half the time, throwing balls up to himself? Like, I don't know if I'm reading into it too much. Maybe they are talking.
Can I ask a question? I have to ask you a question. So Cam Ward's been in Texas working out with his trainer. He came back the last 3 weeks. He's been working out with the receivers every day that he performed with at Pro Day today. They clearly were very prepared. But what makes you think that he is out there watching Miami practice also? I mean, he's preparing for Pro Day and the NFL draft. He's not out there worrying about Carson Beck, who's not.
No, that's not what I mean. If I'm Carson Beck and I'm studying film and I'm looking at the receivers, you pick up the phone at some point, probably every day, and you say, "Hey, Cam, here's the film I looked at today. Here's what we worked on today. Any pointers you can give me from what you learned when you first came in and were in my shoes a year ago that can help me advance myself quicker?" Like, I don't know if those conversations are happening. I tried to give a leading question to Cam so that he could talk about it a little, but it doesn't seem like it was happening. It's just like, this is what I would tell him if he asked. That was basically the answer. And it just didn't seem like, and again, he didn't clearly say, "I haven't talked to Carson Beck." Okay. He did not say that. I was hoping to hear that is what I'm trying to say. So I have no idea. But like, it would have been really nice for Cam to have responded to the question, like, "Oh yeah, I've been giving him tons of advice and he's calling me all the time and he's going to be great, not in Shannon Dawson's offense. If you don't throw for 30 touchdowns, you suck." That's basically the answer I got. That's just what happened. Like, that's just what happened. Like, that was the answer. Again, doesn't mean they're not talking at all, but I was hoping that he would give some indication that he and Carson had at least gotten on some same page together on some level at some point, and he didn't seem to say that. He didn't say that,
So after the workout, which was great, we had a chance to talk to Cam Ward, and I looked at the, we filmed it as we always do, and we put the video up, and I look at the thumbnail that YouTube picks, and there's your smiling face right there.
I'm such a happy guy. I'm so positive. I'm always smiling. By the way, I do have a slight, very, very slight DNR today. That's for people that know, DNR is not do not resuscitate, although that's what you should do to me. It's a daily negative rant, which I always have. I just don't usually, publicize it as DNR. So my DNR is people who want me to stop making political analogies, even though I'm an independent and hate both parties equally and love both parties equally. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. Okay. God forbid I make some analogies about true facts that Musk is firing people, or say anything political whatsoever. God forbid people are freak out whenever I mention politics, even though I'm not taking a side. I don't freaking care. They both suck, both sides. And people think they're going to get me to stop talking about politics by posting, Shodell, stop talking about politics. Shodell, I'm never listening again if you talk about politics. I don't want to be here. I want to be fired from waking up at 5 a.m. and doing this stupid show. All you're doing is encouraging me to talk about politics more by saying to stop talking about politics. So I'm going to keep talking about politics even more than normal, and hopefully the noise will be so great on the outside that Ferman will have no choice but to replace me with somebody really good like Azubi Charles or Stephen Wagner. Well, Azubi Charles, not Stephen Wagner. But Azubi Charles could certainly replace me very easily. Sorry, Stephen. That was a joke, Stephen. Ha, 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 ha. Stephen reminds me of Trump so much. He's the greatest. He's the greatest. Now am I off the show? Now can you finally retire this face from this morning show?
You're close. You're close. You're close.
Oh, I'm getting there.
But yeah, I don't know what people would do without your magnificence. It was funny. Yeah. Somebody sent me a little box the other day, and they said, "I watch your show every day, and Matt is so great that I think you need a new pair of glasses for I've got my glasses that I wear from time to time, and when you say something dumb, I'll put on the flamingos or something. I've got or the parrots.
You're not understanding.
I got sent these. Okay,
you're not understanding sarcasm. People tell me all the time I'm very special. They don't say it like I'm special.
These are Shodell sunglasses now, man. They radiate. They go crazy, and so when Matt Shodell says great things, these were sent to me to put on, and it's sort of like a celebratory prop. but I don't expect to use those very often. But I do like the way they look on the screen. Anyway, so back to Pro Day. So Cam Ward was great. And the one thing that was really weird is, so Elijah Arroyo doesn't participate in really anything. And we're sitting there, we're all sitting there saying, like, where's Elijah Arroyo? What's going on? Like, well, why isn't he working out on Pro Day? He ran the 40, that wasn't really doing anything else. Then all of a sudden, it's time for Cam Ward to throw. And like Superman, there comes Elijah Arroyo. And I got to tell you, Matt, he looked pretty damn good. I don't know why he didn't do the other stuff in Pro Day, maybe because he did it at the Combine. Is my guess.
He didn't do the Combine. All he did at the Combine was
he didn't do any of the measurables at the Combine?
All he did was bend. So I think he still like considered himself a little banged up.
I don't know. He didn't look banged up to me. He looked very good. Caught everything.
I agree.
Right? Made every catch.
The point, here's the problem, right? They know what his results will be, right? His agent knows what he's going to test at. It's not like miraculously Xavier Restrepo shows up and runs a 4.4 where they know he's going to run a 4.8. I mean, they knew what he was going to run, right? He's been doing it over and over again for 3 months since January 1st, okay? There's no miracle. So that might be not necessarily a red flag, because what happened with Elijah is he was hurt. He legitimately was hurt. He could have played a game at NFL Combine, right, when he said that. But what you don't want to do is, when you're not 100%, do testing and put up bad numbers, right? And his injury, it was one of these slow, I can't remember if it was a hamstring, whatever it was. It's one of these slow healing injuries that you can easily recur. And there's just no benefit. He right now, he's probably at second rounder at worst, quite honestly. I mean, he looks so good. All he had to do was do what he did yesterday, which was run around and catch some passes. I mean, he looked unbelievable. You don't need to see his 40 time. You don't need to see his short shuttle. You don't need to see his bench press again or his vertical. You could clearly see why he's considered the best pass-catching tight end in the draft just from watching him run around and catch the ball. So I fully expect him to be a second-round pick. Probably not sneaking into the first round because he wasn't able to test. But, if you test and you do poorly, you're a third rounder or a fourth rounder now, right? So, there was no upside to that. So I think he did the right thing. And, people, the big hubbub with all the media yesterday, all talking amongst ourselves, whispering in the corners, was why Xavier Restrepo's agent let him test, knowing he's going to run 2 times in the 4.8s, which, was competing with Simeon Barrow. Simeon Barrow was a 4.89, I think. I mean, it was it wasn't good, but you need to let him run, because the argument has to be made for Xavier Restrepo. Let's say he doesn't run the 40, right? Let's say he doesn't run at all. No running again.
Accepting that, yeah.
When he's healthy, and he's healthy. Exactly. That's a huge red flag. A, he doesn't want to compete. B, he didn't prepare himself correctly, is what the teams are thinking, right? And that's worse than doing what he did, because Restrepo's never been considered the fastest receiver. And quite honestly, he looked way bulked up than the last time I saw him a few months ago. I mean, I don't understand. The bigger, faster, stronger, I get it. But some body types, when they get there's a threshold for how big you can get and have your maximum speed. And anything above that, if you keep bulking up, you're going to get slower. I think he looks slower than he did during the season. And I understand guys want to get big and work out like crazy and bulk up. It's easier to do that full time when you're no longer a student starting January 1st or whatever. But in his case, they probably would have been better off just leaving him at the weight he was at and just working on, agility and just keeping doing what he was doing. It was a disservice to him. Let me see if I could look up real quick. What he weighed in at.
Let me say this while you're looking up. I
think he gained 4 pounds.
Make yourself faster. I always thought he was probably 4.7.
He should have. He was a 4.7. I'm telling you, he's not a 4.8 kid. I always
thought he was 4.7.
There's no way he's a 4.8 kid.
I didn't think there was any way he was going to run in the 4.5s, which is what some NFL contacts that I have told me that he would need to be drafted at a reasonable level. And
so
I don't think there's anything to do.
Here's his measurables: 5'9.5", 202 pounds. And he ran a 4.84, 4.83, as fast as a 4.81, depending on which person you talk to. That's awful. That's awful. You don't see guys at that size and that speed get drafted. And I think he will get drafted, and I think he will get drafted by the Tennessee Titans, and I think he will get drafted in the 6th or 7th round by them, only because of Cam Ward. Somebody was saying no receiver under 6 foot that ran what Xavier Restrepo has run has ever been drafted in like the history of the NFL. They said anyone under 5'10" who's run a 4.8 or worse has never ever been drafted. And so fans are like, well, he should still be in the 3rd or 4th round because the speed doesn't matter because he's so quick and he gets open and he can catch everything and da da da. And yeah, that might be true in college, but the NFL is a measurables-driven draft. They don't care if you had 10,000 yards and won the Heisman Trophy. If you run a 4.8 and you're 5'9", they're not going to draft you. Like that's just generally what the rule has been since Gary was 5 years old in 1840 when they had the first draft, and it's not going to change. And I feel bad for Xavier because he's always been the smallest, the slowest. That's what he's battled his whole life, and he fought so damn hard and worked so damn hard, and that's what put that chip on both his shoulders and his head because he was so pissed at the world for telling him he couldn't do it and he can't do it. And finally, it looked like he had turned the corner and he proved everyone wrong. And then pro day comes. And it's like back to where he was in 9th, 10th grade. Like, you're not good enough. You're not going to be drafted. You ran slow. You're too small. It's all happened again. And I feel so bad for him because he great guy and he works so hard. But this is real life. It's the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame the agents at all. I mean, he had to run. He couldn't escape it. That's all the NFL wanted to see is how fast he is. Like, there always were concerns about his speed. And, he had 2 shots at the 40. He ran about the same time on both of them. And that was validation that he doesn't have a lot of speed. Now, does this mean that he's going to get drafted or not get drafted? It's going to be tight. Like, I'm going to be honest. It's going to be tight. Like Matt says, receivers that run 4.8 don't get drafted in the NFL. Maybe his best bet would be, like Matt says, for the Titans to take Cam Ward and then just grab him in the 7th round or 6th round or something to pair him with Cam Ward and see if they can, get some magic going at the NFL level like they had in college. But it's not going to be easy. And, somebody was asking me like who I compared it to. Like I said, let me ask you a question. I said, Braxton Berrios runs in the 4.4s. He is a similar type. He was a similar type of receiver. He's a, possession type receiver, and he can hardly do anything at the NFL level. His biggest contribution is as a punt returner. And so what makes people think that Restrepo is just going to walk onto an NFL field and be able to do significantly better? Now, Braxton Berrios has been in the league for a long time. He has survived because he's such a great, makes great decisions on punt returns, and he does run very well. But spectacular? No, he's making like $1 or $2 million a year. He just signed a 1-year deal with the Houston Texans. He was with Dolphins, didn't really get a lot done with the Dolphins. He's lasting in the league because of his abilities as a punt returner and a utility guy, but it's going to be hard for Restrepo at the NFL level. So I'm with Matt, but I think there's a chance he could get drafted late. We'll see what happens just based on his resume from college, but not a great day at pro day for sure for Restrepo. And you got to feel for him, a guy like that brought so much to the table as a Miami Hurricane. Damian Martinez, we didn't see a ton of out there. He just did a couple drills. He did a lot at the combine, but he only did what, I guess the short shuttle and the 3-cone drill today. He didn't have to rerun the 40. He ran 4.5 in Indianapolis and had already done the vertical and broad jump, so there wasn't a lot for him to do today. I saw NFL scouts paying a lot of attention to Jalen Rivers, and Jalen is an intriguing prospect to the pro scouts because of his ability to slide in anywhere at the line of scrimmage. And he's going to get drafted. How high, we don't know, but he was taking reps as a center at times in the drills, showing his ability to snap, just showcasing himself the best that he could. And that's going to be his calling card, that he's a guy that you could draft who could do a whole bunch of things at the NFL level. Tyler Barron's another one, just because he passes the look test so well. He measured in at 6'5", 262. He tested really well for the NFL. He had a 4.51 short shuttle, 7.41 second three cone drill, which is pretty good. The thing that really stood out to me was his 40. He ran a 4.62 40-yard dash. Now think about this. Restrepo runs a 4.8. Tyler Barron, 6'5", 262, Matt, runs a 4.62. Also did 19 reps in the bench press, which is really good. A 10-foot broad jump, a 35-inch vertical. Tyler Barron helped himself with this workout. Matt, will they look past, in your opinion, his pedestrian season at Miami, where he didn't get anywhere near done as much as what was expected?
I mean, coming into today, he was going to be drafted, and leaving today, he's going to be drafted. I don't think he'll be a high draft pick. Later rounds. He's got potential, but when you disappear on film, again, when I say the NFL looks at your looks at your measurables, yes, but that's not all they look at, which is why Xavier Restrepo can still be drafted late, right? If it was just measurables, he obviously is not going to be drafted. If you look at Tyler Barron's measurables, he should be a high round pick, but he's not going to be because he hurt himself during the season by just disappearing completely after the first 3 games. So, again, it's what helps you and what hurts you that winds up making a difference. So yeah, he's got plenty of potential, and there's been a very large history of former Hurricanes who maybe didn't have great seasons that went on to do really, really well in the NFL, which can help, although, of course, he wasn't really a true Hurricane, right, because he came for 1 year. But for what it's worth, there have been plenty of guys that have come out of Miami that were similar to him, right, that maybe didn't have great years but had a lot of ability, a lot of potential, and the NFL took a chance on them, and they wound up being really, really good, and he could definitely be one of them. I mean, he can be a sack machine in the NFL if he goes about things the right way and sort of is in the right system and coached the right way, for sure. I mean, he's got tremendous potential. Remember, after the first 3 games last year, NFL people were saying he was going to be a first-round pick. Like, he hasn't, he's not been taken over by an alien. Aliens are real, by the way. The government's releasing all sorts of stuff. There's a translucent bubble they travel in which time and space function differently, Gary. And I'm pretty sure that's how you're still alive now. What was I saw a picture of you in a Civil War documentary. It was you. I know it was you, and I saw you in the documentary, and now you're still here looking the same. So, Ferman's an alien. You heard it here first. Breaking news on CaneSport this morning.
Oh my God, unbelievable!
Yeah. Why don't you tell everybody? Just admit to it. Tell everyone the truth.
You got to get better material than that. I mean, that's pretty lame. All right, Andy Borregales. This one was interesting. He looked a little nervous to me, and he missed a couple kicks that he wouldn't normally miss. Yeah. But he also made some that were spectacular. He at one point comfortably made a 65-yarder that everybody in the indoor practice facility was cheering after that one. I think he caught the attention of the pro scouts, Matt. It's hard for kickers to get drafted, but Andy Borregales obviously was one of the best kickers in the country last year. His leg is unbelievable. I mean, the explosiveness that he's showing of the ball coming off his foot and the height he gets on it and everything is really special. I think Andy Borregales will find a home in the NFL. I just wish he had been a little bit. He missed about 2 or 3 kicks during his workout that I don't think he would have normally missed. But for the most part, he did fine. And, I think that he did enough. Let's see. Francis Manoa did really well in some of the testing. He had 21 reps on the bench. He had a team best 37-inch vertical. I said Francis. I meant Francisco Kiko Manoa.
Isn't that amazing? He had the best vertical on the team.
Yes.
I mean, that's including the receivers. He's a linebacker.
Now, he tested really well in Indy, so he didn't have to do a lot of stuff at Pro Day. He had a 4.6 40, and but I don't think he hurt himself. I think there's a shot he gets drafted. Maybe mid 100%. To late round.
I think he's. I think if anybody helped themselves the most with testing on this team, it's him. His testing results were exceptional. He can run, he can jump, He's that, and he's shown he can tackle and hit. He's really good. And with Borregales, I mean, he had some kicks, 40, 45-yard attempts where they were literally hitting the roof. They'd go through the uprights and hit the roof. I mean, his leg is alive. I mean, he will be drafted. He will be drafted for whatever team, as long as there's 2 teams, maybe 3 teams that need a kicker. I can't imagine he's going to wind up one of the free agent signing.
Yeah, he's really developed nicely, and his leg is special. It's the sound is like it's like a perfect golf shot. Like the sound of the ball coming off his foot is amazing, and he gets incredible elevation on the ball, which is good for the NFL, so they don't block the kicks. And drafted, we'll see. A lot of kickers don't get drafted, but I do think he'll land with an NFL team. Jacoby George, he's still on my shit list, quite frankly. I'm still not happy about what he did in Syracuse. I thought he blew up the whole season, quite frankly, with that penalty. So it's hard for me to really watch and cheer after that. I mean, I'm kind of amazed they let him in the indoor, to be honest. I mean, after that, but Matt, after watching Cam Ward work out yesterday, okay, and you realize how special he is. This should have been a championship Miami football team. If they win that game at Syracuse, they're playing for the ACC title. Okay, they're probably going to the playoff. Jacoby George took that 15-yard penalty as they were going into score. He blew up the season.
Look, and we talked about this while we were watching him yesterday. I mean, and you remember this too. I did say before the season, I'm sure people watch the show regularly, you poor bastards who do watch it every day, that we have it. You remember I said that, obviously 2 years ago, right? 2 seasons ago, Jacoby George had, 3 or 4 personal foul penalties in the last 5 games, something like that. And there was a lot of talk from fans at the time that they should kick him off the team, get rid of him. This is not going to be a situation that works out well. And then, before last season, a lot of people were saying, okay, well, he must have his head on straight. They gave him another chance, da-da-da. And I said it wouldn't surprise me if he winds up costing them a game with another stupid decision, because it wasn't like he was a freshman making mistakes. Like he's been here. He had been here. He was a veteran still making mistakes in 2023. And then in 2024, to expect him to have no more of these mental gaffes, I mean, it's just sort of how he's built a little bit. He's very reactionary. And he got reactionary at the exact wrong time. But do you blame him or do you blame the coaches? Because if you know that he's been getting egged on by these defenders, which he was all game. I mean, they were hitting him after the whistle. Like, they were egging him on, and he was getting more mad and more mad. And you could literally, if you watch the film again, you can see it. And they put him in the game. They could have had Sam Brown, Isaiah Horton, whoever. He was in the game, and it just took one little thing from the guy, and that was one too many, and that was the end of it. And, that cost them the season. And so, you could blame Jacoby, but if it was a one-off, I'd say, you blame Jacoby. But it was a pattern, a recurring pattern that coaches just refused to see. They just refused to see it, even when a moron like me was like, he's going to cost you guys a game. Before I literally said it before the season. You should find the clip. I literally said it before the season. He will cost them a game at some point next season. And it happened. And so for me to blame somebody where he's had this immaturity problem his whole career, and then to say, oh, well, now I'm mad at him now because look what he did. He cost him the playoffs. When really it was the coach's fault. A, for not fixing the problem, and B, for not recognizing the problem wasn't fixed, and C, for having him in the game at the most important series of the entire year. You can spread the blame around. And guess what? There's other players who made mistakes in that game too, not just him. So I'm not going to single him out as the only bad apple who made a mistake. But it obviously it lingers because that cost them the ACC title game, probably cost them the playoffs. Maybe it cost them the national title because guess what? Cam Ward is that damn good. They could have outscored any team in the playoffs last year, 45-41, 49-42. They would have been shootouts where it's 50-50, whoever has the ball last wins, because nobody in that playoffs, I don't think, was going to stop Cam Ward and hold him below 35 or 40 points. I just don't think so. I don't care. Notre Dame's defense was so highly ranked, whatever. That offense last year at Miami was so damn good I don't think Miami's 2001 defense could have held them under 30 points. Like that was an elite national.
It was a
unique
championship level offense.
Like, how do you stop that offense? You can't stop the run. They have a great offensive line. They have the top quarterback in the country, and who can move and makes great decisions. They have 4 veteran, really good receivers, one of whom you just can't use in key situations, and JoJo Trader, who probably should have played a lot more than he did. Like, where's the weakness? And Elijah Arroyo at tight end. Like, there's nobody that can stop them as long as Shannon Dawson is recognizing where the mismatches are and calling a decent game. Like, no defense was going to stop them. And one play you can point to it as that's the reason why, and that's why you're blaming him. But the truth is, Jacoby George looked really good yesterday, and I think he deserves to be drafted. I don't think he'll be drafted, but I think he deserves to be drafted. I think he's an outstanding. He's an outstanding talent. Most people don't have him being drafted, but we'll see. I mean, he ran a 4.64, right? So 5'11", 170 pounds. It's not going to really stand out to people, and he's got the past history of penalties and
he did a good job in the Cam Ward workout.
Yeah,
he did. He
dropped the pass. He dropped the pass off his hands. It was a tough catch, and then he had another really good catch. So I mean, I call it a drop because if it hits your hands, I call it a drop.
I'm cheering for him after what he did, but then he starts smiling and he starts talking about his 2-year-old baby and the whole thing, and you soften up a little bit. But it's hard, man.
You got to root. At the end of the day, you got to root for every single former Hurricane, right? So bygones are bygones, Gary. Isn't that what
no, bygones aren't bygones.
Whatever planet your alien species comes from. Whatever they're saying is there's got to be something similar to bygones or bygones. Is let it go. Be done with it. Okay. You don't need to have one of those giant pods that takes over his brain and now you're controlling him the rest of his life. Just let the man be. Let him be in the NFL, hopefully, and enjoy the rest of his career. Okay.
All right. In other news today, the Hurricanes returned to the practice field this morning, and I'm expecting Mario Cristobal to really start amping it up. Okay, now you're getting, because this is practice 7 now of spring practice, 7 of 15. It's time, to start getting it on out there, and we've seen this escalation in the physicality going on, and I'm expecting this to be a big week on Green Tree. So I do think that's what is going to be the focal point this week, getting more physical, challenging guys a little bit more, and more of a regular season type feel to practice, Matt. And we had a chance to talk to Mario on the side yesterday at Pro Day, and you could tell that he's really, really, really happy with what he's getting out of the defensive side of the ball. Very happy with his new coaches, very happy with the way that they are conducting themselves at practice every single day, and really feels like they're making improvement here in spring. Now, I think a lot of coaches say that, but I know I came away from that conversation, feeling the realness of what Mario was saying, and it's backed up by everything that I've seen and heard in spring practice. Defense is getting to the ball better. They seem to understand their assignments. So right now, the signs are looking good that Miami has enhanced itself on defense.
Yeah, look, I mean, we were sort of having friendly banter with Mario more than really getting into the nitty gritty of the team. But there's no doubt that they improved the defense. A lot of this stuff is just blather and hype at this time of year. They don't know. They think they know. They want to think they know. They want to know. But the truth is, you can tell what players are great, obviously, like the Cam Wards, they jump out at you, and we watch practice. And on defense, I wouldn't say that many people jump out to me, and some of those that jump out to you are freshmen, right? There are some guys that are injured and missing, which obviously you can't report on. But the fact is, first-year guys who flash in shorts, they tend to look different when the pads go on. It's just a different game. The technique, the size of the opponent, right? They look really quick and explosive in shorts because they haven't really gained the 20 or 30 pounds they're going to need to deal with guys when the pads are on and you're really hitting, and and other guys obviously know some tricks of the trade, so to speak, and have experience that are older. They're going against guys that are 3, 4, 5 years older than them. It's tough, even if your name's Hayden Lowe and you're built like you're 50 years old already. So to me, it's almost a red flag when true freshmen look as good as your juniors and seniors. Like that shouldn't happen on a real team, right? Because the guys are supposed to be getting better and better. They're all supposed to come and be great as freshmen, look like that, and then just keep getting better. And obviously that's not where they're at yet at Miami. So that's a red flag to me, because you always want to have the way these freshmen look to be every class, and then they're getting better and better and better to where the freshmen at some point, it's like, yeah, they're not ready, right? That's what you want to say right now. You want to say none of these freshmen are ready. These other guys all look great, and the freshmen are not ready. And now we're looking at the freshmen like, oh my God, these guys look like they're as good as the upperclassmen. And the fans are like, oh, that's amazing. It's not amazing. It's bad. That's not what you want. So that's a red flag, regardless of what Mario says. But the defensive secondary is clearly improved. Like, I don't see a great player yet. Honestly, the best defensive back I've seen is Xavier Lucas, and he's still giving up catches, right? He's not your lockdown guy, but he's really, really good. So that's encouraging. And then, OJ Frederick's solid. He hasn't, whatever. We'll talk about individual guys later on that we can't really talk that much about right now because of injury stuff, whatever. But Damari Brown will be back. Like, there's guys there. There's depth. There's talent. Defensive back will be fine. Is there going to be a star on defensive back who's an All-American? I don't see it right now, but that's okay, because last year they had all un-Americans, and I don't need un-Americans. I just want.
I like what I'm seeing Poyser. I'm not going to call him a superstar or anything.
Yeah,
we don't know
good.
yet. We don't know yet. But he's clearly going to be
right. I don't see a ACC first team guy in the secondary right now. I don't see an ACC first team linebacker right now. I think Ruben Bain looks really good. I think Akeem Messidor is actually much better. To me, Messidor has actually lost weight and looks very quick. But remember, last fall, they're like, we can't even practice with Messidor on the field. He's blowing up every play, and then he disappeared all year.
Yeah.
So I'm going to withhold judgment on Messidor, but I'm happy at least he's doing something different. Right?
Bain does look like he's getting back to being the Bain we saw as a freshman.
Well, Bain was so that Jason Taylor was laughing at that, because he's like, Bain did not have a sophomore slump. He was hurt, right? And he was hurt early in the year, and then when he came back, he still wasn't himself. Bain, when he's healthy, is great, but again, there's no such thing as a fully healthy defensive lineman all year. There's no such thing as a fully healthy anything all year. Nobody is waking up in the morning for a football player 7 days a week and like, okay, I'm so excited, I feel great. That doesn't happen to football players, okay? It happens to chess players like myself. Chess players, my fingers hurt sometimes, my wrist might be a little sore from moving all my pieces and having to put my king down when I resign. But football players they're different level mentally, they're different level physically, and they have to be, because they are always hurt. And like Randy Shannon, the great Randy Shannon once said, you're hurt or you're injured. Those are the two categories. There's no healthy. Hurt means you can play. Injured means you're out that game. And those were the two categories he had. And, a media member would say, who didn't know this, would say, who the hell played back in those days? I don't know. Is Anthony Chickalo hurt, coach? Yeah, he's hurt. Is so-and-so hurt, coach? Yeah, he's hurt. And so people will be like, oh, these guys are all hurt. The team's in big trouble. They don't understand. Hurt means healthy. Injured means out for Randy Shannon, So again, I just sort of laugh when people say, oh, this guy's hurt, that guy's hurt. But Ruben Bain was injured. Ruben Bain was injured, and when he came back, he was hurt, as everyone else was, but he wasn't himself, And I think you're going to see a really, really good Ruben Bain, a really good Akeem Messidor, and those are going to be the two guys that are going to be the best defensive players from what I can tell. And then the defensive secondary will be better because it can't be worse, and they've added some good guys there. And linebacker, maybe Francisco Mauanoa was better than I thought last year, and just the system was bad, because his measurables have been great. Led the team in tackles the last 2 years. So maybe it's going to be harder to replace him than I acknowledged previously, because I'm like, I've been saying linebacker's going to be fine. Chase Smith looks healthy, and Popo looks okay, and and Bobby Pruitt looks great. But now that I sort of saw a little bit more of Francisco and how good he looks compared to these guys, because again, I have very bad short-term memory and long-term memory, and you forget how these guys move, and then you watch them, on pro day, and you see them, and you're like, wait a minute, the guys I've been watching for the first 3 weeks of spring practice don't look like that. They don't move like that. And you're like, oh, wait a minute, maybe there is a reason why I'm hearing Miami will probably go after a linebacker in the portal, and it's because there's not a Francisco Mauigoa on this team, and they need one. You need one. So
definitely go hunting for a linebacker.
Yeah, and that's not me being negative. That's just like the reality of the situation. I could sit here like everyone else on these other podcasts and be like, everyone's great. The season's going to be amazing. All these guys are amazing. And I was joking with another reporter yesterday about it at Pro Day, how the tendency of fans everywhere, not just at Miami, is whoever's not playing is better than the guy who is playing, right? The freshman's always better than the junior who's already playing, right? If the junior makes a mistake, put the freshman in. What's the matter with these coaches, Like the coaches don't know any better. But in this case, I think that's a big hole that I wasn't recognizing until yesterday that needs to be filled. I no longer believe linebacker is going to be as good as it was last year. I think they do need a really good portal linebacker, because I forgot that despite Francisco having some issues last year and not being as good as the year before, he's still better than anything I've seen in the current linebacker core, just watching him run around. So,
yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, like there's still a void of impact, top shelf level talent in the program. There really is. It's not, I know it's not where Mario would like to see it. I know it's where he would like to get it. But as we go into year 4 of Mario, it's a good roster. I mean, I think they're better in some spots, but they've lost a lot of talent too. I mean, you lose a Cam Ward. I mean, Carson Beck's got a tough act to follow. I think they're going to miss Damian Martinez. I mean, they're certainly going to miss Restrepo, even with his 4.8 speed. On defense, we hope that they're going to be better because of some of these transfers that are coming in. But I don't think there's anybody that you're sitting there saying, "Oh my God, he's going to be a first-round pick" or anything. So they'll still be doing some shopping. They're going to be whale hunting in the spring portal. I don't think there's any question about it. I think they've got it budgeted. I think they're going to go for, like, I could see at least one elite level receiver if they can get it. Certainly a linebacker, another safety perhaps. I would like to see them get another defensive tackle. So we'll see what happens there. All right, other stuff. Website today. We have our usual assortment of recruiting coverage. You got a story on Anaheim, California, 3-star 2026 tight end Luke Sorensen. He visited Miami, and they have made their strongest case yet to land him. We also catch up with Naples First Academy on 300 receiver Jaden Pettit, one of the top pass catching targets in the 2026 cycle. We've got a story on him, and also an update with Charlotte Myers Park High, 4-star cornerback, Miami commit Camden Portis, the son of Clinton, and we catch up with Camden, see what's going on in his life right now as well. So that's going to do it for today for Good Morning CaneSport. We thank you so much for starting out your day with us. If you're not yet a subscriber to CaneSport.com, please head on over to our site, become a member. You will not be sorry. You can try it out, $1 for your first week. And we've got a great group of fans on the message boards, and the highly encourage, welcome, beg, whatever word you want to put on it. We want all you guys to become subscribers on our website, because that's what allows us to do what we do every day to hopefully make you guys the most informed fans in America. So for Matt Shodell, I'm Gary Ferman. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time, everybody.